William Byron will be making his NASCAR Truck Series turn for the first time since 2016 at Nashville Superspeedway. NASCAR has updated their rain racing procedures, and Hailie Deegan will race in 2 races in the SRX. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We have quite a few NASCAR stories discussed here today on the channel. Let's go and just jump straight into it. We're going to start off the paint schemes and sponsorship news. Let's go just jump straight into that very quickly. The first paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Todd Gilliland's 2020 SpeedyCash.com scheme that we're going to see next weekend at Texas Superspeedway. Not a fan of this paint scheme at all. This paint scheme, the green just does not work on this car in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of the Anthony Alfredo schemes and also John Nemechek schemes last year. This one, I'm not a fan of. I don't like the colors of it a lot. Not looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Texas Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Ben Rose's 2020 Katie Performance scheme that we're going to see at Sonoma as he'll be making his NASCAR Cup Series debut this weekend at Sonoma Raceway. Very solid paint scheme, in my honest opinion, and it's great that another company is stepping up to play. I've talked about Aspire Motorsports in the past, has been able to get a lot of brands to come on and sponsor them, and it's great to see that Katie Performance is stepping up to play and sponsor Ben Rose in his NASCAR Cup Series debut this weekend at Sonoma Raceway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Bailey Curry's 2020 Belmont Classic car schemes that we're going to see this weekend in the Xfinity Series race at Mid-Ohio. Very solid scheme, in my honest opinion. I really like the colors of it a lot. It's great to see the Belmont Classic cars is going to be working with Bailey Curry, and great to see that Bailey Curry has another sponsor willing to work with them this weekend at Mid-Ohio. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Keith McGee's 2020 military finance scheme that we are going to see, I believe, at Nashville Superspeedway. Great to see that Keith McGee is getting another opportunity to race for Jordan Anderson Racing later this year. And it's great to see that another cryptocurrency company is also stepping up to play and sponsoring another driver. We see Bitcoin sponsor in the IndyCar. I believe it's for Renus VK, if I'm not mistaken. It's great to see that another cryptocurrency company is stepping to plate, though, and sponsoring later this year. And now the final paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Brad Keselowski's 2020 America's Tires Discount Tire scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Sonoma Raceway. I believe this is the first time that America Tires is sponsoring Brad Keselowski, but it's very similar to the discount tire colors we've seen. But I really like it a lot. It gives me those 2010 vibes that he had in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I really like the paint scheme a lot, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack this weekend at Sonoma Raceway. And now we're going to go ahead and jump onto all the other major stories we discussed here on today's channel. Let's go and just jump straight into it. The first story we're going to talk about is Adrenaline Shock. As it was reported yesterday by Adam Stern, that Adrenaline Shock is going to be releasing a limited edition Shockwave Chase LA Signature can this summer to commemorate his 2020 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Adrenaline Shock has been partnered up with Chase LA since last year. Adrenaline Shock's only been around for a couple years. I'm a big fan of it. I like the flavors of it that they have. I've had it once or twice. I think the flavors are really cool. But this is really cool. He's like one of the first couple athletes that have worked with Adrenaline Shock, so this is definitely really cool to see that Adrenaline Shock is partnering up with Chase Elliott, and hopefully we'll see a lot of signatures coming out. I really do like that they are partnering up with Chase Elliott. It's great for the sport overall. And now we're going to go and jump into the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Chris Wright. As Chris Wright is going to be driving part-time in the ARCA Series, then in the number 30 for Rhett June's Racing starting this weekend at Mid-Ohio. This is good for him to get some experience. Chris Wright has definitely struggled at points this year in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, so this is definitely a good way for him to get a lot of experience. He's a pretty solid road course racer, in my honest opinion. He's had decent road course stats in the past. I think he drove the 0-2 trucker a couple times in the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series as well. On road course, he's had decent success over there, but this is definitely a good way for him overall to get experience in the ARCA Series. And I think if he does very well, he get a lot of experience. Of course, ARCA's been dead. Let's be honest, ARCA's not a great series to always get the most experience out of. But this is definitely really cool to see that Chris Wright is getting an opportunity to race in the ARCA Series once again to get some experience. I think this is definitely a great opportunity for him. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Chris Hacker. As we are talking about the Chris Hacker story. Now, it was reported a couple days ago that Chris Hacker was supposed to be making his NASCAR Truck Series debut in the number 41 for Cram Enterprises. Well, things have unfortunately changed. Chris Hacker posted a tweet last night and a report last night basically saying that he unfortunately had parted ways with Cram Enterprises, and his plans as of right now to race are not going to be happening at this time. Now, he is still currently working at this moment to find sponsorship to get to race at Nashville Superspeedway and still race. It's really unfortunate. Chris Hacker has grown to be one of the most popular drivers on social media. He's become an overnight celebrity, an overnight sensation here on NASCAR Twitter, and I hope he really does get an opportunity. There was some drama last night in regards to Cram Enterprises. A fan account basically was saying that Chris should not have announced earlier. Chris did make an honest mistake, but he's a driver that's young, and he wants to make his NASCAR Truck Series debut, and someone that wants to do things in the Truck Series. The guy that has time. He had a top 10 in the ARCA earlier this year at Charlotte, so I think he definitely deserves an opportunity once again to race in the Truck Series. I think it really, really does. Hopefully, like a bigger organization, if they're able, like Jordan Anderson Racing, maybe down the line, he give him an opportunity to race later this year. I think that'd be really, really cool. But it's unfortunate to see that this situation happened. But I'm wishing Chris the best of luck. And man, we're all here in the online presence hoping for the best for you, man. I really hope you did get an opportunity to race later this year. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about Bristol Motor Speedway. As it was announced yesterday that Bristol Motor Speedway is going to be having full capacity for the fall race weekend, the Bass Pro Shops NRA Night Race Weekend. This is really, really great news here. Many races have already announced this week. As a matter of fact, a lot of NASCAR tracks like Michigan, Daytona announced full capacity. A lot of tracks this past weekend, basically, and Martinsville too, and among others, and Phoenix, a lot of racetracks announced that they were going to be going to full capacity. And Bristol basically back a couple months ago during the Bristol Dirt Weekend basically said that they were hoping to have 100% capacity. Well, we got that confirmation today. This is really, really great news and really good to see this too because Bristol, when you have the full capacity, especially while it's the loudest track in the world, basically it just the energy around Bristol Motor Speedway is incredible. I know a lot of people have gone out to Bristol Motor Speedway and they say that the energy they feel going to Bristol Motor Speedway is different in a track. It's really great to see that Bristol Motor Speedway is going to have full capacity and definitely really excited about that for sure. And I think that I think for sure that Bristol will sell out. And this is definitely some really awesome news overall on that aspect for sure. Now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about General Motors. As was announced yesterday by Bob Parker, said General Motors has started building a racing technology facility in Concord near Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is a 130,000 square foot facility scheduled to open in 2022 and a $45 million investment. This replaces plans announced last year for different building, now a production facility for GM Defense. This is really, really big for GM and Chevy cars in general and all the Chevy organizations because what this is going to do for GM overall is it's basically going to bring everything closer next year. GM has basically said that they would like to have everything electrified going forward. Their goal is to eventually get into the electrification side of things. But basically, this is a big move overall for the GM organizations, all the shit like teams in Chevy, like Hendrick Motorsports, Ganassi, RCR, all the organizations out there, even Trackhouse too, because it's going to tighten that group even more. You look at the performance even this year in 2021 for Chevy when RCR and Hendrick basically combined their engines. The performance, especially for Hendrick and RCR, has definitely improved this year. Look at Hendrick Motorsports. They've got the most wins so far in the 2021 season. You look at RCR, both of their cars in the playoffs right now. Even at points this year, Chip Ganassi Racing has definitely shown a lot of speed this year. This is overall going to be a massive move overall for the GM plant. It's great to see that this is happening overall. And that facility is expected. They were supposed to have that built by the end of this year because of COVID-19. Originally supposed to build that in 2019. They announced they were going to build that. Hopefully have that done, I think, in 2020 or 2021. But because of COVID-19, they delayed it and they've changed their plans overall. But this is still a really big win overall for General Motorsports. And I think that this could help overall for a very, very long time. And we'll keep all General Motorsports keep going forward for a long time. This is a massive move overall. And great to see that we're going to be seeing this facility coming to fruition here really, really soon. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about Jeff Andrews. Jeff Andrews was on Sirius XM NASCAR radio, and he basically said that he owes a public apology to Chip Ganassi Racing after what happened to the Coca-Cola 600. For a lot of y'all who do not know, in the Coca-Cola 600, both of the Chip Ganassi Racing cars had oil belt problems, and Kurt Busch blew up, and Ross Chastain, both of them ended up finishing in the last two positions in 39th and 40th place. He said it was 100% his fault, and AC said that all those problems would be solved. I think it's a little bit funny, to be honest with you, because he had all four of the Hendrick cars basically finish in the top five of Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, William Byron finishing 1, 2, 3. And then, of course, you had Alex Bowman, who ended up finishing fifth, Kyle Busch being the only driver in that top five. Basically almost had, for the second time, basically, for Hendrick get 1, 2, 3, 4. With Kyle Busch, of course, being a former Hendrick driver, he almost got a top five. He almost basically broke that up as well. But it seems really funny to me that basically they've had, and this is not the first time that we've seen Chip Ganassi. I mean, look back at 2017 when Kyle Larson basically was one of the biggest competitors for the championship, and then Kyle Larson had 3 or 4 straight weeks when they had engine issues. I think it's a little bit funny, to be honest, that this situation happened. It's a little crazy, to be honest with you, that this is one of the big issues we're seeing, and hopefully that this doesn't come forward, and hopefully that this is the last time we have to see this situation, but I wouldn't be surprised if this last time. I don't think they're sabotaging him overall, but I think it's a little bit funny, to be honest with you, that we have this situation coming forward, considering Hendrick Motorsports made history this past weekend. Looks like they're going to be back under controversy once again. It's making public apology. I would not be surprised if Chip Ganassi Racing themselves did come over to Hendrick Motorsports and ask for a public apology. I would not be overall surprised on that front. That's just my honest opinion on that situation now. And now we're going to go and jump onto the first of 3 major stories in today's episode, as we are talking about Hailie Deegan. Now, it had previously been announced that Hailie Deegan was going to be racing in the SRX for a couple times here, the Old Man's Club. She was going to be the young gun jumping into the SRX. Well, the race that she is going to be running has been announced. She is going to be racing in Knoxville and Slater in replacement for Tony Kanaan, who's going to be racing in the Stock Car Brazil Series or later series. Both those races are scheduled on the same day. He's going to be racing full-time in the Stock Car Brazil Series. Now, NASCAR basically said that they're not counting this as testing, but they don't want any, they basically have not encouraged any of their drivers to race in the SRX. I think it's a little frustrating, to be honest, that they're not letting any of their drivers race in the SRX. I get the SRX and NASCAR basically are competing against one another, but I really wouldn't consider testing. I guess they're trying to basically avoid what Alex Abey was doing at the Daytona Road Course when he brought his car basically out and he basically ran in the Trans Am Series to basically go out there, get experience, and NASCAR was not really happy with him that they did that, and they find him pretty well. NASCAR's not 100% happy with her doing this, but again, they're not against her doing this. Plus, Hailie Deegan's also going to bring a lot of young eyes onto the SRX, well, I think it's another reason why they're kind of giving her special privilege. Plus, I think that this overall is going to help her as well because she's going to get more seat time in the car. She's going to perform better. Look at Knoxville. Even though these cars are going to be different, she's going to have a lot of experience racing in Knoxville. She's going to be running quite a few laps at Knoxville Raceway, and I think that will help her overall in her time in the truck series, and I think she'll do very, very solid in her time as Slinger. She can also up her short track stat as well and help her overall going forward. But this is really great to see at least she's going to run 2 races. I'm a little frustrated that NASCAR is a little bit frustrated about that. But at the same time, I think NASCAR understands that they don't want to test him. But again, they should have had practice qualifying because drivers wouldn't have to do this. They had a rookie test. A lot of people were like, they let him do a rookie test. Probably because, they didn't have practice qualifying this year. But really great to see that Hailie Deegan is going to be racing a couple races in the SRX. And hopefully she will do very, very well. And hopefully NASCAR does not continue getting frustrated because drivers want to go out there and do other things. And also, this is going to bring eyes on the sport. Considering you don't have a lot of drivers that are relevant in the SRX for now. Maybe the only ones that really are relevant, maybe Greg Biffle is probably going to be racing the SRX this year. You have potential of drivers like Julio Castanet. You have Julio Castanet just won the Indy 500. He's pretty relevant at this current moment. Tony Stewart, Billy, are guys that a lot of people remember Michael Waltrip. But other than that, some of the guys in that field are not the most relevant, haven't raced recently. And great to see Hailie Deegan's going to go out there and get some experience. I think she has a chance of being somewhat competitive, but we'll have to see going forward. But she'll be racing the SRX in 2 races later this year. And now we're going to jump on to the next major story of today's episode, as we are talking about rain racing procedures. It was announced yesterday that they have updated some of their rain procedures. They announced that NASCAR is requiring Xfinity Series teams to have 2 blinking rear window lights, one in the top left corner and one in the top right corner, for Mid-Ohio all road courses. This would help with the visibility in the rain. It also was reported that the Cup Series and the Truck Series are expected to have these updates going forward as well. This move, it makes a lot of sense in my honest opinion, because they had that one, basically up until now, they basically had one rear blinking light. If you watched the Cup Series race that took place at Circuit of the Americas, that race had a couple of very scary incidents because visibility was a massive, massive concern. We saw a massive wreck at Mid-Ohio, at Circuit Americas, where basically Ryan Blaney had a flat tire. Christopher Bell basically got turned around, and then Kevin Harvick, Bubba Wallace careened each other and basically wrecked each other on the same, and a bunch of cars basically ended up wrecking, and Kevin Harvick was not very happy. Then on that ensuing restart, you had an accident where Mark Trucchino ran into the back of Michael McDowell because Michael McDowell really couldn't see, and he was told to basically slow down. And then Cole Custer was going super, super fast. Basically, he didn't see the blinking light, and basically, he ran right into the back of him and almost had a really, really scary incident. And then NASCAR basically set a red flag to fix some of the sprue. Because when you have 40 cars on a racetrack, you're going to have speed that comes up. These tires really spew that water up when you have 40 cars, especially a lot of that spray is going to come up. I think that this is a really good decision overall, but there's 2 blinking lights again. Remember, these blinking lights are super, super, super small. They're the size of a golf ball. So 2 of those lights should overall help the visibility problems. NASCAR's basically said they've been trying to work on the rain racing procedures. If they continue to see major adjustments, what happens? Again, I have no personal problem with NASCAR racing in the rain. I think that they should be allowed to race in the rain, to be honest with you. But when you have visibility problems, that can become a major, major detriment and a major issue. And I think the NASCAR world is doing a great thing of updating those rain procedures. I would not also be surprised going down the line if there's other procedures they're going to update. But that blinking light needs to be bigger. Another thing I'd like to see them update in regards to rain racing procedures, one thing I would like to see is basically make sure that windshield wiper is working. Because that windshield wiper is really, really, really bad. It doesn't work as good as it is supposed to. In my honest opinion, I don't think it works as great as they should. I mean, they just had a test recently, a couple weeks ago, where they basically were still talking about the spray as well. The windshield wiper definitely needs to be fixed. There's a lot of things that do need to be fixed overall, but it's great to see that at least NASCAR is going out and trying to fix some of their issues with the rain racing, because we saw the Circuit Americas race, because like I said, we saw the Truck Series race, right? And there was rain, of course, but it wasn't as heavy, it wasn't setting, and it wasn't kicking up as much. And the Truck Series put on a really, really good show. NASCAR is also not as experienced when it does come to rain racing. So the more experience they overall do get in regards to rain racing, I think overall the better that they are going to be. That's just my honest opinion on that, but at least it's good to see that NASCAR has updated some of their rain racing procedures going forward. And now we're going to jump on to the final major story of today's episode, as we are talking about William Byron. As it was announced yesterday that William Byron is making his first NASCAR Truck Series start in nearly 5 years. He will be racing at National later this year, driving the number 27 for Rackley War Racing in a second Rackley WAR car. Now, keep in mind, this truck is going to have to qualify, but he's also going to have full backing from Hendrick Motorsports. I don't remember the last time Hendrick Motorsports fully backed a Truck Series car. I know they basically helped Junior Motorsports. Rick Hendrick definitely is one of the part owners of Junior Motorsports. So when Cole Custer was in the Truck Series back in 2016, when Stewart-Haas Racing was still part of the Chevy programs, he had drivers like Kyle Larson racing in 2015 with them, and Casey Kane, who drove Hendrick Motorsports, also racing with them. This is really cool to see. It has been a long time since William Byron raced in the Truck Series. Now, if it does have full backing, I don't think it's going to have as many issues as you think. You also have Josh Berry, who's going to be racing in the main Rackley WA car in the number 25 car. But William Byron is a guy that has a lot of experience. In 2016, he almost won the championship. He won like 6 or 7 races in the Truck Series Championship 2016 with Rudy Fugle driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports the last time he raced. But unfortunately, what happened for him was he blew an engine at Phoenix, and it was bittersweet because he won at Homestead, but he was not able to win a championship. Had he basically not had that engine problem happen at Phoenix, he would have easily gone on and won the NASCAR Truck Series Championship, because even if the regular season points, if he doesn't have that engine failure at Phoenix, he basically is going to go out there and win the championship. What are my expectations overall for William Byron? I think William Byron, with how much experience he has, I think honestly he could honestly win, especially if this is a Hendrick back car and he's going to have as much experience as he has, how good he was in the Truck Series, even though Truck Series is super, super competitive. I think that he will definitely have a shot of contending for this win, to be honest with you. I think he's going to have a ton of speed. I think he's going to bring a lot to the table depending on who his crew chief is, because I don't think the crew chief was announced. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think they announced the crew chief who was going to be basically working with them. But I think William Byron overall has a very, very solid and a very, very excellent shot of contending for the win and winning race. Especially if, like I said, he has a lot of experience in the Cup Series. He's been really, really good in the Cup Series so far. And for a guy that's going to go back down the Truck Series race for the first time in 5 years. Again, the trucks are different than they were in 2016. I think they have less horsepower than they did in 2016. So things have definitely changed. But I think William Byron will be able to adapt quickly. Now, like I said, remember, he's going to have to qualify in a race. I think he easily will qualify in a race unless there's rain issues. But really awesome to see that William Byron is making his first Truck Series start. I'm really happy to see that, because I think William Byron definitely has a shot at least contending for the win. And I think he will do very, very solid. And I think he'll be very, very competitive in his first Truck Series start in nearly 5 years. So, anyway, that is going to be for today's NASCAR news video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notification on so you're notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support my page as well. Link description below for that, and comment with your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about William Byron racing for Rackley War Racing later this year? And how well do you think you're formed? Do you think you actually will win in the Truck Series race? Let me know in the comments below. And what are your thoughts about NASCAR updating the rain race procedures? And do you think NASCAR needs to do more in regards to rain racing? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.